This man's name is Sean Porter. He is a counselor and former football player assigned to Camp Kilpatrick, a juvenile detention center that contains juvenile delinquents who have committed crimes. Since then, he tries to help the youth there and change their lives through hard work, commitment, and leadership. One day, one of the prisoners named Roger, who is a member of the 88 gang, started a fight with Kelvin Owens, who is a member of the 95 gang. The fight was caused by a dispute between gangs. As a result of his actions, Roger was taken to the isolation detention room. Then Porter came and scolded Roger for his actions. He advised Roger and told him to reflect on his actions, because he could have died due to an unresolved gang fight. He also said that only himself could save him. Long story short, Roger was released from the detention center. Seen he was walking with his cousin named Willie Weathers with his girlfriend named Danielle. Suddenly two of his friends named Seco and Lil Dove came over to them. Seco said that the 95 gang had stolen his brother's bicycle and he intended to avenge the 95 gang's actions. Roger, who had just been released from prison, was reluctant to their invitation, but because he felt bad, he finally agreed. When they once started to attack, suddenly a herd from the 95 gang managed to shoot Lil Dove. Those who were not prepared to attack finally had to run away from being chased by a car driven by a gang of 95 gangs. In that incident, Roger died horribly. Roger's death made everyone sad, including his mother, who came to the scene of the crime. Bloodshed between the 88 gang and the 95 gang was frequent and often resulted in the death of gang members, as experienced by Roger. Then the boss in the 88 gang named Free comes to Willie to ask him to take revenge. They targeted Click and his brother named Anthony, who worked in a supermarket in that city. Meanwhile, at Kilpatrick's camp, one of the guards named Malcolm told Porter that Roger had died. After hearing that, he felt sad. At the same time, suddenly a prisoner named Junior attacked another prisoner. This angered Porter and kept him in solitary confinement. Porter is frustrated with the situation there because he has not been able to help teenagers to be free from the dark side of their lives. That night, an emotional Willie is preparing for revenge. He visits the supermarket where Anthony works, but when he meets Anthony, he looks hesitant and unprepared to fire a bullet at Anthony. Then the bullet hit another target and hit the supermarket window glass. He panicked, then finally ran away from the place. When he arrived home, Willie saw that his mother was injured in the face only as a result of being beaten by her mother's lover, who came to the house when he just needed money. Willie's temper was bubbling and their fight is unstoppable, until finally Willie pointed a gun at the man in the presence of his brother and mother. Without thinking, Willie immediately fired his gun and make that man died. Because of his actions, Willie is being held in the detention center of the Kilpatrick camp. One day, Porter came up with an idea by creating a football team consisting of juvenile criminals at Camp Kilpatrick. They will be entered in a competition between high schools in the city. He, along with Malcolm, began to convince his bosses named Paul and Ted with the reason that the idea could give the teenagers their hope and help them to form a better character. He also hopes that his idea will have a positive impact when they are released. At first they refused, but with all the deliberation, finally Paul and Ted accepted their proposal. Meanwhile, seen at the camp, a group of teenagers playing basketball. There Willie was alone, and suddenly a basketball bounced towards him. Then Junior told Willie to get the basketball for him. He just kept quiet, and that made Junior angry. Before the fight broke out, suddenly a teenager named Owens stopped him. However, it appears that Willie and Owens' gang are very hostile. When starting a conversation, they look very hate each other. But suddenly Porter told the teenagers there to gather. He then announced his program to create a football team. Porter managed to attract several teenagers at the camp to join his team, including Perez, Bates, Leon, Owens, Evans, Madlock, and Bug as water carriers. Initially Junior offered to join, but Porter turned it down on the grounds that he was undisciplined and always causing trouble. Finally Porter chose Willie to play on his team because he wanted Willie to live better than the late Roger. Willie had no choice and finally accepted Porter's invitation. Since that, Porter and Malcolm began to build a competent team for them. They even came to several football club schools in the city, but when they found out that they were from a rehabilitation center, the coaches refused until they finally met Torrance, one of the coaches at a Christian school. At first Torrance refused and thought the criminal team was hopeless, but thanks to Malcolm's help, he finally agreed to Porter's offer, and he even got the full fixture list for the season on Saturday afternoon in the Camino League. After that, Porter started gathering his team on the Kilpatrick pitch and made it clear to them that he didn't care they were in any gang. At this moment they are a team. Porter named the team as the Mustang, who always believed to win. He only hopes that with the team, his 3 goals must be fulfilled. First, they have to live in harmony in the dormitory. Second, they must be good school students. And third, they had to obey every rule that existed in Gridiron. Gridiron is the name of the field they play football on. Right now they may be the losers, but if they get past this challenge and win the football game, then Porter promises to release them unconditionally on December. The first practice started with Porter telling them all to spell the word the Mustang, but none of them are correct in their spelling. Porter scolded them and told them to repeat until they were unified. On the sidelines, Junior was seen sitting sadly because he couldn't join his team. During the exercise, Evans, who was overweight, complained that he thought the exercise was too strenuous. He was annoyed with Porter and left the football field. But Porter was so proud to see his team put so much effort into training, and with their rapid progress, in less than a month they would face Team Panther and have only lost 5 times in 3 years. At night, while Porter was giving a briefing with his team, Junior was seen slamming objects on a field. Then Porter came and walked over to him. It turned out that Junior was venting his emotions. He was angry with himself for still being a loser and missing his 2 children's birthdays. He is tired of being a loser and he wants to do something in his life. He wanted to join the football team so that his son would be proud. Without thinking, Porter allowed him to join, but the next day while practicing, Junior made a fuss by not following the instructions given. Porter scolded him and told them to repeat the exercise. While resting, it looks like Owen provokes Willie's emotions and spills water in front of him. When training resumed, Willie accidentally hit Owen's face, which was motivated by a grudge between their gang, causing a commotion. Porter immediately intervened and told them to put their personal problems aside. While training, Willie is angry that the 95 gang has killed Roger, but Owen says that the gang of 88 killed his best friend first. Porter scolded them and told them to forgive each other, but they both refused. Porter decided that they should reflect on each other's mistakes. One day, Porter met Paul. Porter is angry that funds for his football team are always being delayed. Porter was furious in the room, saying they had to speed things up so he could buy proper equipment for his team. Ted, who suddenly comes, then says that his team won't make it because some of them are killers. However, Porter raised his voice and said that he was very sure he would turn the teenagers away from killing again. Filled with emotion, Porter left the room. Porter's anger was getting hotter when he saw his team had not managed to set up their formation. Porter decided to continue training until their formation was correct, but the exhausted team members sat down and ignored Porter's orders to quickly set up the formation. After seeing all the team's compact to sit down, Porter smiled and told Bug to give them some water. On the next day, Porter was driving with his mother. There she said that he was pushing his team too hard, and she said that Porter had done nothing wrong and she always supported Porter's every decision. Finally, the football kit for their team arrived. How happy they were when they wore those clothes. Some ignore the most important part, namely the protection of the genitals, and say that the one who wears it is just a sissy. While practicing in the field, one of them accidentally hit Madlock's genitals. That's when they realized how important the pubic protector was. They then returned to camp and put on their football gear properly. While waiting for his team, Porter invited Leon to speak. Leon is a marijuana dealer before, and in Porter's mind that meant he was well versed with math and arithmetic accuracy. Leon served as a ball thrower and Madlock was supposed to protect him, but because Madlock couldn't learn the play rules, that meant he would fail to protect Leon, so he ordered Leon to teach Madlock to study the manual for playing football. The schedule for visiting had arrived. Junior's wife and his son came to see him. Meanwhile, Danielle came to see Willie, but because Willie's emotions are unstable, it makes she's sick and leaves him. On the other hand, Mrs. Bates is angry and leaves Bates. It made him sad and lonely. Porter came to him, who was sad that his mother didn't care. There he told Bates to be the catcher of the ball, which made Bates feel a little comforted. That night, Willie writes a letter to Danielle. He says that he will try to change because Danielle is the only person he has. Meanwhile, his mother left Willie and moved to her home in Oakland for fear that his brother would follow him if she stayed in the city. The training activities continued. Now there are only 5 days to practice, but some team members are still bad at playing. In the middle of the game, Junior suddenly suffered an injury and made him unable to participate in the game. The next day they practice without Junior. Suddenly they see teenagers making a fuss. One of them is Madlock's friend. As he was about to catch up, Porter stopped him and told him to calm down. Then Junior came and approached them. He said even though he didn't play, they still had to win the game. The match started. Evans looked sad because his physique did not meet the requirements to join the team. Meanwhile, the dispute between Owens and Willie remains unresolved. Before the game started, Porter directed them and gave the Mustang team a boost. In the first match against Bennington, initially the Mustangs seemed to dominate the match, but in the middle of the match, they started to fall behind. The Mustangs don't want to lose. They end up teaming up, but all of that seemed in vain. Bennington's team always managed to score bigger numbers. In the end, the Mustang lost, but Porter didn't blame them and thought they were great because it was only 3 weeks that they dared to face Bennington team who had been training for 3 years. Porter said he was confident they would succeed in their next game. He then visited his mother, who was hospitalized. He felt disappointed because he failed to maintain the belief of the Mustang team, but his mother said that he and his team would succeed in winning the game. When they returned to Kilpatrick's camp, the teenagers there greeted the Mustang with jeers because they lost. This saddens them and Paul calls Porter to his room. They began to doubt Porter's ambition to include the teenagers in the next game. Porter was disappointed in himself, but the next day the Mustang team was still training even without Porter's instructions, and that gave him confidence. The next match against the Bulldogs team begins. However, no matter how much they try, the result remains the same. They still lost. Furthermore, they continued to train with enthusiasm and trust in the team began to be established. They started compact and never gave up. Then in the next game they are against another team full of confidence. The results did not betray the effort. They finally succeeded. How happy they were then. To celebrate it, they swam together in a pool with Porter. One day, Mrs. Porter was in critical condition. It made him ask permission not to practice. When he saw that his team wasn't training, he went to their base. It turned out that the Mustang team prepared a flower arrangement for Porter's mother. He was touched to receive it. Porter's mother was so critical. Porter accompanied her with great sadness. From her side, Porter was always proud of his mother. She always got Porter back on his feet when he started to lose confidence. So Porter was so devastated when his mother left him forever. Long story short, the next match always produces good results. Porter is so proud of the team that managed to deliver the best results. On that day, Porter felt sorry for the teenagers at Kilpatrick Camp who had never felt a mother's love properly. Bates, who kept trying to make his mother love him, wrote a letter saying that he would get out of the camp and make his mother proud of him. Madlock also wrote letters to his family. He was happy to be a defender who attacked his opponent's quarterback, and he was satisfied with that. Leon, who is a ball thrower, also wrote a letter that he enjoyed being a ball thrower, boosting his enthusiasm beyond when he was selling marijuana. Willie also wrote to Danielle that she had changed and liked football more than fighting. The next day, Porter delivers Willie's letter to Danielle, but her father doesn't welcome him and says that Danielle shouldn't be involved with Willie. Free suddenly came to the camp to meet Willie, but he was not invited to enter. When he left, Free saw Owens doing his service. When the next game starts, the Mustang began to have supporters. It made them even more excited. Their Free and his gang came to see Willie play, and that time they won the game by 1 touchdown after Owen made a big block for Willie. When near the end of the season, the Mustang entered the playoffs. They get a lot of publicity and even more fans. Right now, Free took to the field to approach Willie, but he stopped when he realized Owen from Gangs 95 was in front of him. They fight, and Free shoots Owen and shoot him in the shoulder. Then he prepared to shoot Owen in the head, but Willie ran towards him. Free drops his shot on the ground and Will saves Owen. Porter was panicked and running towards them. Free is surprised to see Willie actually helping Owen and not defending him. Then when the police arrived, there he opened fire on the officers, and the officers returned fire, which resulted in Free being killed. Willie was deeply saddened by the incident. Owen was finally taken to the hospital and luckily he survived, but he couldn't play in the final. As a result of this incident, they were threatened with withdrawing from the match because it was considered a danger to others. On the other hand, Willie is considered a traitor by his gang because their leader, Free, must be killed. An argument ensues between them, which causes Willie to be sent to an isolation room. Porter came up to him and advised him, even if he returns to his gang, they will blame Willie for Free's death. They could have killed him thinking Willie had betrayed him. Willie was so frustrated that he was worried about everything that had happened to him. Porter comforted him by saying that his father was a loser too. He comforted Willie and encouraged him to move on with his life by forgiving those who had hurt him. Willie calmed down. He asked how long it would take Porter to forgive his father. Immediately, Porter burst into tears and he replied that he had not yet forgiven his father. The Mustangs almost missed out on playing in the playoffs due to concerns about gang violence. However, Porter managed to prevent it. He arranged for some volunteers in the police department to patrol the game. In the playoff rematch against Bennington team, the Mustang went into the first round with a score of 14-0. Willie cast a motivational vote and they went out and beat Bennington's team in the final game. It is revealed in the narrative that they lost the match by a score of 17-14, but no one calls them a loser.